Hello YouTube and welcome back to another how-to video. This is part 2 of how to make forests. So the first episode we were going over the trees and just rotating them, pasting them, making simple trees and making them look, unique just from using one tree, which we did on that plot over there. So this episode we're going to talk about the ground materials and all that kind of stuff. And this is going to be a little bit annoying because of all the grass and stuff that's already here, but we can work around that and we'll find a way. The first thing I'm going to do is create a brush for the terrain underneath the trees. I'm going to do brush sphere. I'm going to do 3:3, which is the permanent dirt, or I think 3:0 works because we've got the grass growth turned off on the server, so we can do that as well. 3:1 sorry guys. 3:1 is the dirt path texture, and that works really well mixing it in here. We also want 3:2. 3:2 is podzol, and if I'll show you the biome version to make it look like pine needles. Podzol also works great for other forests, deciduous trees, but generally only if they're sort of in the autumn, which most people do the deciduous trees in that style anyway because of the leaf colouring. And then we're also just going to throw in some grass and the grass metadata that's like quite leafy. Want quite a big size brush. I'm just going to mask 2 and 3 because they're the only materials that we're using. And then just going to click, and you see that you get this nice covering of materials. You're just going to go right around the edge of the forest and all the way through the middle. This is just really straightforward for the time being. Just like right around the edge, just like this. And you can see the podzol, it's quite orange because of the deciduously leaves, the fall stuff that's sort of coming through there. But we'll get around to fixing that in a minute. It's going to take some time. There's no sort of easy way of doing it. You are going to have to change each block by hand. So if you're doing a large forest, bear that in mind. And there you go, that's done. But that's just the base layer. What I'm actually going to do now is change that brush, and we're going to get rid of grass. So it's all just dirt textures in there now. In fact, we might put just normal grass in there. Okay, and keep that size. Keep the mask the same because we've still got grass there. And we're just going to go in a little bit, and all this is going to do is add a little bit more dirt into the middle of the forest. So we've still got that grass on the outside, and it just acts as more of a transition, more of a blend between the two. So it's going to be really high density of dirt materials in the centre underneath these trees, which is realistic. It's what you would get in a forest, especially one this dense. And then we have like the grass starts to creep in a little bit more, and then it sort of completely fades out when you get up here. So that's all quite good, and there you go. It's instantly changed already. It's looking a little bit more interesting, and all we've done is change the materials on the ground. And in fact, I'm just going to go get that brush back and just go a little bit further around the outside. Just bring those materials down, and in fact also going to get rid of podzol in that brush. So we'll get rid of podzol, and we can just... Did I not get rid of podzol? There we go. So I've got rid of the podzol, and we can just brush around, and that also helps to create more of a transition between all these blocks. So we just do that around there, and there you go. So we've got a nice transition. It gets a lot more dirt, more dirt, more dirt. You got the podzol coming in. It gets really intense in there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is get a blaze rod. Don't know why I just done that, pressing the wrong buttons. So we'll get a blaze rod, and I'm going to have to cut once I've started doing this, but you're just going to change these all to extreme hills. And you can see that I'm just going to change all the podzol over, and this is only for the pine forest because it's a pine needles texture. The normal podzol doesn't really make sense. So you can just see that I'm just changing this all over here. The other way to do it is just to change the whole area into extreme hills using by using world edit. I forgot the word for it then. I'm just going to show you how to do that, because all this is just simply clicking over like that, changing them all, and it does take some time. It can get quite boring. If you're not too bothered about the biomes inside your forest, then you can just make a selection. So position 1 doesn't have to be stupidly big, like tall selection, or it's low, because you're changing the biomes for the columns, so it doesn't really matter where you do the second position. And then you're just going to do set biome extreme underscore hills. So that should have changed the biome. And then to update the chunks, you can either go around with your blaze rod like that, and you can see how the chunks are changing. Again, that can take a while if you've changed the biome for a really large area. Or the other thing you can do is just disconnect and reconnect. And there you go. So that'll have updated everything for me and made that look really good. One of the benefits to this is the Extreme Hills Fern is really nice texture, really nice little bushy texture, so that adds to those already. The other thing that you might want to think about doing is adding jungle ferns, and I love these jungle ferns. I use them all the time. When you're adding these jungle ferns, make sure that it's not on one of those podzol blocks. So just go along until you get to jungle, and for some reason I like to use the jungle edge one. There you go. And it's just a case of finding a fern that isn't on a podzol block, so like that one was. So I'm going to just copy that back over and go there. And I would do this off camera, but I really can't be bothered going through and finding all these different podzol blocks. It looks to me like every, there we go, we found one. It almost looks like every fern is on a podzol block, which is a bit annoying. But I found a couple, so there's another thing that you can do to get a little bit of extra detail in. Even putting the normal ferns back in as well. So instead of just doing the jungle hills, you can go to, oh, I can't change that one. Where we go? There's one. So you can go to plains and you get the normal ferns, and it just adds that extra layer of colour into the forest and stuff. Okay, so that's done. The next thing is tall grass. If you're in a forested area or a overgrown area or just a area in general where not many people and there's not much human interaction, there's going to be lots and lots of vegetation just growing wherever it wants. And all you have to do for this is just take your tall grass and just run around like this and just spam click. It doesn't really matter specifically where you are actually placing these blocks, because it's just going to look great the messier it is. So I'm just placing them around random like this, not even thinking about where I'm going. I'm just sort of flying around, making sure I cover each area and just clicking as fast as I can and just putting these blocks pretty much anywhere and everywhere. And this just adds that another layer of depth to the forest. And then once you've done that, you're going to do the exact same thing with the double tall fern. Now I don't really like the double tall fern texture too much, so I use it a little more sparingly. So I still don't really think about where I'm placing them, but I don't sort of click as fast. As you can see, I'm just sort of flying around every now and then, whereas with the tall grass I was just clicking like a madman and just putting them pretty much everywhere. Whereas the ferns, because I'm not too keen on them, and the colour as well, it's quite a strong contrast, so just every now and then put in a block and it'll look fine. And right on the edge here we've completely missed all this out, so I'm just going to spam lots and lots of tall grass like this. And if I just zoom out a bit and we start to get a sense of the outlook of this, you can see it blends in a little bit more. It's all looking very green. You can't really see the edges of the blocks of like the hill and stuff. It's not a great detail, but when you're walking around on the inside of this forest, you're going to really feel this sense of it being completely overgrown, and like the grass and all the trees, and it adds to the atmosphere and makes it feel great. Okay, so that's 3 things we've covered now. We've covered the ground materials, ferns, and double tall grass. Next I'm going to do little bushes. I went over this in one of my Inca videos. I'm not sure which one it is, if I've uploaded it or not yet. But just small little bushes. I'm going to get a couple of fences. Don't have to be too much. We're just going to do it like that. And then we're just going to put the odd block around. Not going to go too mad with these blocks like we were doing for these smaller trees, which you wouldn't have seen because I messed up the recording. But you know, just place them around like that so you can still see quite a bit of the fences. And it's up to you if you want to use a specific leaf block so that you don't get those colours, or the other alternative as well is you can use those and just change the biomes of those actual blocks. So if I put this back to a plains, for example, and then change that one and all the blocks around it, and then if there's any pine needles on the floor that need changing that are near it, you can just do that by hand and just like swap the block out. It's a really easy and simple thing to do. So just make sure you go all around the block so that you get the green colour back. So for this one you want to put all across here. You can see we've just got that bit of podzol there. Punch it out, put some dirt in, problem solved. I think there was one round the back here as well, yep. Punch it out, bit of dirt in, problem solved. And we can put some double tall grass in to cover that up. And down here as well. So there you go, that's that, just adding a little bush in there. So I'm going to do that off camera. I'm going to add quite a few more little bushes around, and then we'll see how that looks after we've done that. Alright guys, so I've just been planting some bushes round. It did take a while, and I was distracted with other stuff, but here we go. So from a distance you don't really notice it that much. All that you do notice is looking at the forest now from what it was at the start of this video before we started detailing the floor side of the forest. Does actually look a lot more wild and untamed and overgrown and that sort of feel. So I'm going to just talk you through the placement of these bushes as well. I've tried to place it so that you see here we've got like a small little, almost a path, like you can almost see that there's a way through there, whereas here I've tried to sort of block off that way so you can't quite get up here. There's another bush as well, I think it's this one. You see how I've got these two leaf blocks here as well, so it makes you walk around these two trees. You know, I mean, you can jump over that leaf block, but you know, it's in between those two trees, so it makes you walk around them. You can't ideally get over them. I mean, you can just jump quite easily there, but that's like the thought process behind them, is that it's making you go out of the way to get to the places that you want to get to, the places that look more interesting. Like here, for example, you come here, this bush is completely blocking off that direction. There's another one here, and there's a little way through, but because of all the tall grass and stuff, it's quite hard to actually notice that and see that. And then because this tree bush comes right up against this tree, makes you walk right around here, and again you've got these bushes here. And I think people need to start doing this a lot more. So on the edge of your plot, you know, just put bushes like this. I'm not saying just do it all the time, but if you've got an area like this, for example, and you can just see off the edge of the plot, it's not too bad because we've got the double tall grass hiding it. So I'll just fly over here. You know, over there you can see off the plot. This doesn't have much atmosphere. Same with even just up here. You can see straight off the edge of the plot. I mean, feel the difference between being in here and, you know, even though we're walking right along the edge, you've got these bushes here. It makes you think that you're still enclosed in the forest. So that's why you should be using bushes, and you know, it works with fences and city walls and lots of stuff like that right up against the edge of the plot. You don't need every side completely filled off, because it's great to have paths that lead off the plot. That makes it feel like the plot is bigger, that the world expands outside of it. So, you know, bear that in mind as well while you're working against the edge. So next, so we've done all this. This is all looking quite nice. I'm going to talk about the flowers. Now, because we just did a simple overlay command for this terrain, the flowers aren't great. So it's going to be one of those episodes again. I'm just going to quickly make a brush and go over it. I'm not going to talk too much in detail about the brush though. So we're just going to do 31:1, 31:2, 31:0, mask 31, and 38:0, 37. So these are just all the flowers that I've got in there, and yes, I'm that sad that I remember all of the individual metadatas. So we've done that, click, there we go. So we're just going to get rid of these flowers, and we're going to replant them in a slightly different way. even just completely removing the flowers from the forest can be a good thing as well. Just makes it that bit more interesting, especially a forest that you want to be sort of dark and sort of maybe a bit evil and stuff like. So you think, oh, there's nothing growing over there. It's just all green and dirt and bleh. So that looks quite nice to me actually. But we are going to put a few flowers back in. We're going to do brush, sphere. We'll do 31. We want 38:3, I think is the oxeye daisy, and maybe 8 the oxeye daisy. And 37 as well, so we're going to have some dandelions in there. We've got those. Mask 31, 37, 38:0. Oh, sorry, mask 31:1. We only want this effect to affect the grass. We don't want to affect the ferns, so we can do that. And then just very strategically, you know, places like this, here, there. It was the oxeye daisy, so we'll just do that. Maybe right click a few times. I also need to mask the oxeye daisy. So 8. There you go. Just get a nice little mix going on there. Same again, just fly around, look for a nice little opening where you think maybe some flowers might form. You don't have to do this everywhere. You don't even have to do this at all as well. It all depends on what look you're going for. You're just going to right click a couple of times. Don't do it too much, but what this does is that when you're walking around the forest, the bit of colour is going to catch the corner of your eye, and ideally that's what's going to make people want to explore a bit more. If I was walking around here and I can see just over here in the distance that there's a bit of colour, I might be thinking, oh, what's all that over there? Why is the colour over there? So I'll go walk around and try and explore. Or maybe if I'm just flying past and something catches my eye just on the edge of the forest, I'll be like, oh, what was that in there? So I might want to go look around, try and explore. So that's the idea behind this. Depending on the type of forest though, I don't think you want to go overboard with this, and it can work just as well without including flowers. And the other thing to talk about is rocks. Now I'm going to do a rock, well, we'll do it in there. I was going to do it on a flat surface, but we'll do one in here. I've got a nice big opening here. This is a good place for one. And there's lots of different ways that you can actually do this. So we're going to do not too high, something like that. Just do a basic shape, and there we go. That's good enough. Then I'm going to do 44:2, and this is the Envirus lab. So I'm just going to put a couple of these about, and this gives a bit of extra detail to the rock that you're trying to make, because you can see that it's got those shapes. Don't be afraid to do like the slabs like that. You don't have to have the slabs everywhere like this as well. Just mix it up, make it a bit more interesting. So there's a nice little shape, and that's just the base as well. So what we're going to do now is change some of these metadatas. We're going to have dark stone at the bottom. There we go. One there as well, and that one, and that one. So we've got the dark stone at the bottom, and if it's really like high up, or if it's in there, you can get a bit of light stone up near the top. I'm just going to change that one there, and then we'll maybe put some lighter stone on these two sides. So you can see that we've got the grey stone on that side, you've got these two blocks of light stone, and on this side we've got the two darker ones. So I think that's quite nice. And then we've got this debris block, so you can also just change the metadatas of those to get different types of gravel, and you've got the end stone as well. I'm going to try find the lighter gravel, which is Ice Mountains, I think. Yep, there we go. I'm just going to put those around the bottom. Not too much. Don't want it going overboard. And then put the extreme hills back in. Back up the one there. And yeah, it's all looking good. We're just going to copy one of those over. And because we have the three here, and these two are sort of in line with each other, I'm going to change that one to Ice Mountain, so you've got that little balance. That's like sort of the reasoning behind that. That's all good. The other thing you can also include is cobblestone. Cobblestone always works good as well. Cobblestone slabs, you've got stairs, so you can get some more interesting shapes, and you've got the cobblestone walls. So I'm just going to go off camera, add another 2 or 3 of those rocks around, and we can see what sort of difference that makes. Alright guys, so I'm back, and as you can see now, just in the distance there, you've got this little bit of grey squinting through the trees. You've got one rock, two rock there, we've got a third one over there, and you can just about see it right in the centre of the screen where the cursor is. Really hard to see. There is a little tiny one there as well, so I'm just going to go quickly show that to you guys. And the other thing I completely forgot about doing is moss stone. So this is the biggest rock that I added in, and this works really nicely, like I was saying before about blocking your path. You've got these bushes here, so that works really nicely to block your path off. So you have to walk all the way around here to go see this side, and then you can walk around, and you come round here, and then you've got this other smaller little rock. It's almost in your way. You've got another big one here in between these two trees, so you sort of have to make your way around. And it's good at sort of creating tight spaces, because forests in real life, you know, they're quite close together, whereas in Minecraft, to get them like nice, you need to have quite a bit of space between them. So having these bushes in, adding these rocks, it's great for creating tight spaces again, and it adds to the atmosphere. Using this 44:2 block, you can add dirt slabs around, but I wouldn't recommend doing it everywhere. There's some people who do this. If I actually get the slab, I'll do it on this side because this is like messed up this side. They would do something like put in all of the slabs along here like that, and then all of this would be dirt, and then they'd have another slab down there, and then, you know, so sort of like this. And I don't think this looks good at all, and it's because there is no variation, because there's no sort of grass versions of these blocks. So if I just copy all this all to planes, you'll understand more what I'm trying to say. So there, so you see that, I mean, it does look good, but when it's done all over the place, if you do it every now and then, you know, add that block in just every now and then, 2 or 3 blocks in a row, then you leave it for another 5 or 6 blocks, then put another block, and then another 2 or 3 blocks, you know, stuff like that. It works quite nicely. If you're just gonna do it so to like really smooth everything out, it won't work, it won't look nice, it won't look natural. That's my thoughts on it anyway. I think we're nearly done. I don't think there's much more detailing you can add nature wise. There's always stuff you can add for like little campfires, hideouts, tree houses, stuff like that. There is beehives that you can also add hanging off the trees. There is also you know, bandit camps, carts that you can add. There's lots of stuff that you can add to a forest like this. But I think what we've done in the last 2 episodes has been enough, and hopefully you guys understand the basics of creating an atmosphere and making a forest, because that's what these 2 videos have been about. So if you've not learned how to make a forest, then I don't know what else to do to help you. If you need help with trees, go back and look through my videos. If you need me to explain more about the trees, then I might do another video if like things need clearing up and stuff like that. I think the videos that I've got out should be enough, but I might be doing more, I'm not too sure. We'll just have to see how things go. That's it for this video, guys. So if this has helped you and you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one.